Welcome, everyone, to the Unshakable Courage Show. I am your host, Kim Glass. I am so excited that you have chosen to be with us today. We are continuing our series, and we have some special guests again joining us that have overcome an adversity and moved through that adversity with courage to be on the other side and inspire other people along their journey. So I'm so excited and honored to welcome to our show today Monica Allen and Brandon Straza. If you would come on down, we're just so excited to get you introduced to our guest today and to hear your inspiring insights of how did you do that? How did you move through that fear? What was the light bulb moment that transitioned you from being in fear to this fearless person that you are today in helping other people? So, Monica, I'm going to start with you. If you would share with us a little bit about your, what was that fear? Maybe it was a fear of being an entrepreneur, starting your own business. Maybe it was a personal fear or a pattern. Could you share with our listeners today a little bit insights about you and your story?
Sure, I'd love to. So I think there are definitely moments in my life where I've gone through fear, different times that I've had to overcome that. But, when I'm talking about my entrepreneurial journey, I would say that my first fear was the take the leap out of my corporate position. I went to college. I followed my grandmother's saying of you go to school, you get a good education, you get a good job. And I followed that. Matter of fact, when I was in college, I went in as an engineering degree to get an engineering degree, and I didn't like the program. So I went to the Career Center and actually researched what would give me the best job. I didn't care about, whether I really liked it or not. I just looked for how could I get a good job. And so I ended up being a risk management and insurance major because they had a 97% placement for jobs. And I got a job right out of college. And after 8 years of working in corporate, I was just kind of over it. I wasn't able to be creative in the position. I had a great manager, but it just wasn't fulfilling. And to take that leap of faith and get out there, I had a lot of quotes around me just to try to pump me up to do that. And that was one of the biggest fears that I had. And just taking that leap and building my wings on the way down, which was one of the quotes I had, was my first really big challenge of getting over fear.
I so enjoyed what you were sharing because, I hear that there was a pattern and a belief of what you should do. And yet, along your process, you started looking into things that made your heart sing from who you were and being an entrepreneur. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then Brandon, would you share with us a little bit about your backstory of, what did you overcome? What was the adversity that actually set you on the path to do what you're doing today?
Absolutely. And I appreciate you having us, allow us a stage to, to talk about our stories and hope that it's inspirational for other people listening and what they're able to accomplish, what Monica's accomplished, what I've accomplished, and you, Kim. Mine started at a young age. I came from what I didn't understand, but was an entrepreneurial family. We had a restaurant fairly large. And so I got to see very few hours of having a father figure around because he was always at work and listening. That was the biggest thing. Is I was involved with a lot of conversations, didn't know what they meant until later years, but I listened to what was going on around me, about what people, believed the word I, quote unquote, was an entrepreneur. Because I think it's a word today that it's really loosely used. And I had a sister who was a world-class athlete in golf. I had a brother who was salutatorian of his high school class. And then there was me. I just wanted to work. I wanted to work, make money, figure things out, solve problems. But standard education really wasn't for me. Now, I did end up getting a 4-year degree because I fortunately had a loving mother that says, just get the piece of paper. And that was to have something to fall back on and what they taught me. But I was constantly around, just unbelievable people that had attained so much. And I was like, where do I really fit in? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? And so I would pick odds and ends jobs and just work for different people and learn different things starting at a very young age. And, before I was even in high school, to say, what is an entrepreneur? Where do I fit in? How can I help solve a problem? And the word that kept coming back to me was the word no. Like, I wanted to accomplish X and I was told no. I had a high school math teacher that said, hey, your sister's a world-class athlete. Your brother was salutatorian of his class. And these were her words. And school's just not for you. No, this is not the path for you. And that's pretty crushing. I believe I was around 15 or 16 years old, probably 16 at the time. And that's really crushing. But I didn't sit there. I held on to it. It was like something that just sat back in a file cabinet. Eventually, I was told the word no again. Like, the word no kept coming back when I started my first company, when I exited my first company, when I started my, the next company. Just no, you shouldn't do it. You're getting ready to get married. Don't start a company where you're getting ready to get married. But I had a loving support of my wife sitting there saying, I'll support you. We can go do this. So no was the big hurdle that I continuously sit back. And I remember that high school teacher. I'm like the Tom Brady. I am not going to forget that individual telling me no. I'm not going to forget the individuals that told me, no, don't go do this. And I don't hold it against them, but I use that for fuel. I use that for energy. And that's really what has driven me to the point to where I'm at today. I think I might have froze there for a second. That's what has driven me to the point to where I'm at today, is by listening to somebody saying no. And how do I surround myself with the right people, the right support system that encourages me to push past the beliefs that, no, you can't go do this. And that's really the entrepreneurial journey for where I'm sitting, where I'm at with you and Monica today.
I so love your journey, Brandon, because as you know, as an entrepreneur, we're all in that continuous learning. And that is just like failing forward, or we often talk about other people's opinions. And a lot of time those no's are because those people that are giving you those insights don't see themselves doing that big thing that you're wanting to try and experience for yourself. And so when I think about fear and I think about courage, you definitely tapped in to two strong points that we hear often: other people's opinions and no's. But congratulations to you for overcoming those no's and having the support system, because that's what it takes to get out there and do something or try something that you believe that you can achieve it. So I kudos to you for going beyond that conversation and that internal dialogue of someone else.
Would you mind if I throw in there what sometimes those no's are real quick? Because it's
Yes,
not always
absolutely.
external. So picture a window and it's daytime and you're looking outside that window and you've got a great peripheral. You see outside, you see the bushes, the colors, the sun, the blue sky. And that's the world that we see out there. As nighttime happens, all of a sudden we start seeing a reflection. And let's say there's a fireplace going. Now we're seeing the reflection of the fireplace and we're seeing more of the reflection of ourselves, and we can vaguely see what's outside. Well, outside, when we start seeing that reflection, those sometimes are the no's. It's our internal self telling us no. And that's where the important times come, to have the right people around you. So when nighttime comes and you're seeing that reflection, it's not your internal voice telling you no. You can still look through, and that is still a glass window. You can still see out there and move beyond. But again, the biggest thing is the people that you surround yourself with will help you continue to see outside. So that's another no that I have continued to learn to get over time, which is my own internal no.
Wow, that's so powerful. Thank you, Brandon, for sharing that. And I love the visual that you created for us with that window. So thank you so much for that. So back to you, Monica. I'm interested and curious, hearing your journey and fitting into this college mode and going into the corporate world. I'm interested in understanding, what was the light bulb moment that helped you shift from maybe someone else's opinion or taking the path that someone thought was better for you? What was that moment that helped you shift?
So, I think one of the big things was, I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I started selling candy out of my house when I was in fourth grade, candy and sodas and freeze pops. And, I'd do my little math on my notebook and I'd go buy more stuff when I ran out. And I remember in college, I was in my risk management program and I actually interned with our local State Farm agent. He was super nice. He insured everybody in the family. And so I just walked in his door one day and I said, "Hey, I'm doing this major. Would you please let me just shadow you during the holidays?" And he was like, "Sure." I mean, I was doing it for free. And I remember sitting with him as we were going to measure somebody's home or something. And I told him, I said, "I want to be an entrepreneur, but I have no idea what I want to do." Or I said, I wanted to own my own business someday. I didn't entrepreneur. Like Brandon said, it's a little loose these days, but he said, "Well, don't worry about it. It'll find you. Just keep moving." And I think the thing that shook me the most is when I worked in corporate, I realized after about 3 or 4 years of really kind of going that, the suits and the briefcase and all of that stuff that I kind of visualized when I was in college, I realized that I was going to hit a glass ceiling. It actually does exist. I was in a big company. I was a number. And one day I was literally on the elevator with the gentleman who was the manager of the Atlanta office. And I got off on one floor and he kept going up. And I realized that I would never go up further on that elevator. And that was when I decided I've got to make a change that's for me. And I'll have to get over this fear. But yeah, that was it. I can remember that moment very well.
I love what you said about keep moving. And as entrepreneurs, as you know, that's what we do. We have to keep moving. And I'm so glad that light bulb moment shined for you. And in just a few minutes, we're going to hear all the incredible things that you're doing in your own business. But back to you, Brandon. What can you share with us? What was your light bulb moment that set your path on fire and put you in the position to move from those opinions and those no's to be doing what you're doing today?
For me, a lot of it really came down to listening. So wherever I worked at, so at one point I worked and I'm sitting there, I'm scrubbing clubs right by the bathroom stalls. And, I'm hearing the people go up, they stand there, they talk, you hear the shop talk. And it was listening to the clarity and the freedom that they had because they were in charge of their own destiny. I came from corporate America. I understood corporate America, but the problem that I had with that, it wasn't authority. There's where the lines get blurred. A lot of people say I'm an entrepreneur because I have trouble with authority. I didn't have problems with, taking orders and listening and learning and marching forward. It was that my destiny, my success, my direct long-term success relied upon someone that could be several levels above me, vertical to me, whatever it was. And that's a real interesting thought right there. Is my success, my trajectory is based off of something I have no control over. So I have a slight fear of flying, though I still fly. Why is that? I don't have control of what really can happen. You don't want me up in the cockpit, but that's kind of a scary thing, is not having control over what's going on the road or in the air. And it's the same thing when it comes to business, when it comes to, working for a large corporation. And in this case, Monica and I have several things that we possibly have in common. I worked for the largest Allstate agent in the country, but then he still reported to someone that was corporate, and someone reported to that person. And if they made some form of paradigm shift up here that impacted me lowly down here, I might have been one of the top salespeople. I might have been one of the best, branch managers. But there was all it took was an email saying, "Hey, we're going to shift directions. We're going to go this way. You're still part of the team, but my definition of success might have differed from what theirs was." And so that was the big change for me, is how can I be responsible? How am I responsible for not only my success, but the people that work with me success? Because to me, that's when real impact, that's when you can start solving a problem. That's when you can start doing something for purpose as opposed to someone else's purpose. So that was a big change for me.
I so enjoy your perspective on that. And all three of us have been in the corporate world. I was in the telecom industry. I had a wonderful ride in the corporate world, but I actually was that entrepreneur spirit sitting in the corporate environment, and to be able to learn from that experience and then just transition that into my own business. Again, like you said, there's not a ceiling, because you're self-leading yourself and your business, taking your clients and your customers with you is I just love the entrepreneur spirit, regardless if it's in corporate or in our own businesses. So thank you so much for sharing that. And Monica, would you share with us, what are you doing today in your business, and how can our listeners find you?
Sure. So I have a couple of businesses, but my main business, as I told you earlier, the one that pays the bills right now, is called Zeus's Closet. We like to say we're like a tattoo shop for your clothes. So we literally do all types of artwork on clothing, everything from my simple shirt here, all the way up to your beautiful face, Kim, could be on the back of a jacket or a sweatshirt or whatever. So we do it from, simple to really complicated. And that's my main business. And in that business, I've decided that I want to help other business owners, because I actually have the opportunity to meet a lot of business owners when they come to get their logoed apparel done. And last year during the pandemic, I started a podcast called Stitched for Success. So, and that's Stitched, STITCHED, for Success, FOR. And if you want to get in touch with me, that's the best place to reach me. That handle on Instagram as well as on TikTok. So you can always direct message me on Instagram, and I actually do respond to all of them. And I would love to hear from anybody. So that's me right now.
Oh, so awesome, Monica. I'm looking forward. I've been following you for a little while because we're in the Fearless Entrepreneur book, but I'm really getting excited to hone in on what specifically that you do, and who do I know that needs that branding on what you do. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you. Yeah. And I will add just real quick, I'm sorry,
Yes.
but branding is so important. So many times people start a business and they do think about the logo, and that's important, but it's not huge and it doesn't have to be done immediately. But once you start running your business, you really want to begin to brand yourself. You really want to stand out from the competition, and you want people to remember you. There's a lot of ways to do that, and I love talking about it, but branding is so important to your business. I just wanted to add that.
Yes, I so agree with you, and thank you for that extra information and detail on it. I always say you are your brand, whether you're online or offline, and would you want to do business with you? And so I know we speak a lot of the same language when it comes to branding, and I'm just so honored to have met you on this journey, and thank you so much for sharing today. And Brandon, would you share with us, to our listeners, what are you doing today in your business, and how can we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to, because I've got to just commend Monica, what she just said. One thing that I've heard out there, your brand is what people say when you're not around. And that's why you have someone like Monica in your corner. So I had to throw that one out there. What am I up to? So I've built and exited and still have my oldest company, over 10 years old, over 8,000 existing clients. And, I've been fortunate by design. I take calculated risks. A few years ago, I found out about the world of masterminds. Now, I'm not a coach. I don't have a mastermind myself, but I realized there was a $50 billion a year industry in self-education, and there wasn't a lot of direction to it. There was a lot of noise. People use Facebook groups, people use LinkedIn groups, people use a lot of things that are actually intended to distract you. I hate to say it, Instagram's not there to be your friend. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, they are there to distract you. That's the thing. You go for one thing, and the next thing you know, you're looking at Aunt Betty's pictures. And so I sat there and I saw that there was a problem, and I wanted to solve that problem. So we're about 2.5 years into it. We're going to be we've released our beta model, and our most recent beta model, which Linda Sunshine West will be getting to get a little behind the peek behind the doors, a little inside baseball here in a few weeks. We're going to be releasing the web version between December and January of next year. And if you're looking for the right coach or event, we do that for you. It's a place without distraction. So the coaches, the communities can actually build a community, give you your education, give you your connection without distraction of advertisements. without distraction of wondering what's next. Our knowledge center's there to help people move the needle. So it is the masterclass for self-education. And that's really where my passion lies. I'm fortunate that I have been able to build and exit from companies in order to create this for-purpose business. But it is going to help coaches and masterminds really help them gain clarity for the people that are working with them, and give them a centralized location. So they're not sending them to Facebook for this, LinkedIn for this, Kajabi for this. It's a centralized place that's going to cut out the noise and really change the face of self-education. So if you'd like to reach out to me, the web version, not available. Okay. You could email me at brandon@thesuccessfinder.com if you want to find out how to be an early adopter, whether you're looking from a member standpoint, membership's free, pretty cool. Or if you're looking to actually be an approved coach, because we aren't just going to let anybody that calls themselves a coach. And in today's world, a lot of people sit there and they say themselves they're a coach because they saw someone on stage doing it. And they're like, I can make money doing this as well. So you can find me on Instagram at Brandon Straza. I don't hang out a lot in social media. I do have people that post my podcast called The Mastermind Effect, where I've been able to interview the result leaders. I like to call them the result leaders, not the thought leaders. My 6-year-old has a thought when he gets up in the morning, but the people that actually get you the results. And, find me on Instagram or just email me is the easiest way. And then when the web version is out, all of that, it'll still be there, but you won't be able to connect with me unless you actually come over to the Success Finder.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Two things that you said are so powerful, and especially as entrepreneurs, that mastermind, which I also lead a group, is so powerful because you can actually tap in and get to what the members are actually needing. And that goes into building your connected community. And it's so true. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you learning from? Are those people doing what you want to do? And so I think those components are so critical, and even more so as an entrepreneur, because like you said, we can get so distracted or get into the comparison of, oh, they're doing this, well, I could do that, I have this know-how. And so thank you for sharing what you're doing. And congratulations. We are all, again, best-selling authors and fearless entrepreneurs. Awesome. I had the opportunity this last week to meet several of the other authors during my national book tour in California. And so if you haven't picked up your copy, you can go to Amazon.com or you can go to thefearlessentrepreneurs.com and pick up this book. I always say, if you can get one nugget of information from an author or hearing a speech, I think that's incredible if you can get that nugget and implement it. But what if you had over 20 authors in this incredible book and you gathered a nugget and you were able to take your business forward? It's been such an incredible ride meeting all of these authors that we have met along our journey of being an entrepreneur. And so I thank you both for sharing with us today. So again, thank you for joining us with the Unshakable Courage podcast, where we are helping other people tap into the reality of their fear so that they can release it and live with power. We look forward to having you join us next week as we continue our series of fearless entrepreneurs, what they've overcome on their path to success. Thank you so much.